is Tesla and where it's going to stand. For Q2, they're expecting about 452,000 deliveries.
And we've never gone through this electrification transition for low CO2 drivetrains. We've never had a digital product before.
We're number 2 in EVs in the US, behind Tesla, a long way behind, but we're still there. We're seeing customers who buy a Mach-E or a Lightning, they don't go back to an ICE vehicle.
All that and more. So let's get to it. Tesla stock is down in the pre-market almost 0.2%, sitting at 175.96. I ended up selling a call for about $200 per share. That expires in the middle of July, so should Tesla kick back up to about 185 before then, I will go ahead and place that long call with the same expiration date. But as of right now, I use some of that premium in order to buy a few more shares, and I look forward to the extreme volatility that will lead up into Tesla's annual shareholder meeting.
Some numbers on China, and we're talking autos here, Jeff. So, I mean, look, dollar down and our data weak. Maybe the international trade is going to be the way to go for now.
It looks like it could be. I mean, especially if we look at some of these numbers on the EV sales, they seem to be recovering in China. If we look across the board, BYD delivery numbers up 38% year over year, XPeng up 35% year over year, NIO up 233% year over year, and Li up almost 24% year over year. Cumulative for NIO, Li, and Peng, their deliveries were up about 29% for April, up about 57% year over year. Year-to-date deliveries for the companies are also looking relatively good, up 36% year over year. Some of these names have specific stories, including kind of the hybrid component, which we know is starting to outpace electric vehicles. We've seen people looking for the more cost-efficient hybrids that go a little bit further. We saw that in Europe. We saw that in the U.S., where hybrid sales were up 65% compared to 3% on the EV side.
The stepping stone to electrification will have its day. The hybrid has its uses. For now, when I see the sales of hybrids on the rise, I see a hyper catalyst for the EV adoption exponential growth curve.
Some of the other question around this is Tesla and where it's going to stand. For Q2, they're expecting about 452,000 deliveries. And
I'd take that, but I'm in the camp that it's probably going to be a little bit less than that. But I do expect that Q3 number to be quite large.
These hybrid numbers don't necessarily look good for Tesla, but the overall EV comeback certainly could boost the stock.
Pretty mixed. I mean, BYD out in front here. Kind of seems like they're cementing their role as the China EV trade, because there's a lot of options. There's almost more direct China EV trades than there are US trades. I feel like here it's basically Tesla, because you've got the other competitors in the legacy autos, but they trade very differently. Whereas China, you've got a lot of different companies that are sort of startups or pure EVs. And I mean, it looks like BYD is kind of the leader in many ways.
Yeah, BYD had a really impressive numbers, right? Up 38% year over year. Sales grew 8% compared to April, 22% compared to a year ago. And if we look at, 2024, sales are up 27% compared to the same span of time in 2023. And again, this is where that hybrid vehicle discussion comes into play, because electric sales were up 19%, but hybrids were up 35%. And the export side is getting better for the company also. Exports up 177% over the same span compared to the same span in 2023.
Don't expect their expansion to stop now. Tesla is not concerned. I mean, their mission statement is to accelerate the transition to a sustainable energy economy. Some of these U.S. legacy auto manufacturers, they're going to need to get on the ball.
Where are you on the road back? How far along that road are you?
Our backs are off the stovepipes. We're well into the messy middle of the most transformational time other than the Model T. We've never gone through this electrification transition for low CO2 drivetrains. We've never had a digital product before. We never could give people time back like we will with level 3 autonomy. We're investing in all that enabling technology. We're very profitable with our Pro business. and our combustion business. We have the iconic vehicles like Bronco and Mustang that are doing, and F-150 that are doing so well. But we still have a lot of execution to do. I'd say, we're just a few years away from another vibrant period for the company. And as leaders, we see it before everyone else sees it. And so it's exciting for us, but we feel a tremendous amount of responsibility for your parents, for you, for my grandparents.
In order for the Ford name to continue on decades into the future, that burden must be quite heavy to bear. I don't want to see Ford, GM lost to the annals of time, some footnote in a history textbook. But this transition beyond internal combustion engines is not going to be an easy one. Tesla is indeed setting a high bar, but you don't have to vault over it, because let's be serious, you can't. But it is a nice target to aim for. And while the Chinese aren't over here yet, you will still be competing with them abroad.
Competition in the auto sector is heating up as the industry transitions to EVs. In an interview on Yahoo Finance's opening bid, Ford CEO Jim Farley laid out his company's future plans. Joining us now, Brian, it was a great conversation between you and Jim. So what were your key takeaways from that discussion?
Well, first and foremost, guys, it was Jim Farley's thoughts on EVs, a vision that might lose close to $5 billion in operating profits this year.
We really believe in the consumer experience for an EV, and so we want the next ones to be more affordable. And that's why we're investing in more affordable EVs in the next cycle of products that people see from Ford in the next couple of years. We're number 2 in EVs in the U.S., behind Tesla, a long way behind, but we're still there. And people love their Mach-E's and Lightnings, and they're going to like the new ones even better. What's hard about it is making the physical changes to be profitable, to bring the cost down.
Of all the U.S. legacy auto manufacturers, I believe Jim Farley and Ford are the ones that are most aware of their situation. Question is, can they put in enough hard work, retain their loyal consumers, and simultaneously bring in the next generation of buyers?
Farley, I think, is very focused on getting that division to profits. Now, I pressed him if he has a date on when that EV division might hit profits. Didn't want to share that date. My quick takeaway is maybe it's a few years from now. But nonetheless, you heard Farley mention Tesla. Now, Farley has embraced Tesla and CEO Elon Musk, both publicly on Twitter, but also just operationally as well, working last year or signed a deal with Tesla to get adapters for his electric vehicles so they could be charged at Tesla superchargers. I asked Farley about that relationship and where it stands.
I think it's been largely a positive relationship. In 120 years, we've been through a lot as a company. Like, we know what a partnership should be and what's realistic to expect out of a partner. We compete. I mean, Mach-E and Model Y, they're in the market competing every day.
Competing? If you could call it that. The only thing the Tesla Model Y is competing with, the best-selling vehicle of 2023, is the internal combustion engine variants of this vehicle. The goal is transitioning the Earth to a sustainable energy economy. The internal combustion engine has no place in that world.
So we're realistic, but so far the partnership has gone well, and we have a professional relationship.
It was funny to hear Farley. He also mentioned in the interview that they need 90,000 more adapters from Tesla. And he said he texted Elon the day before this interview. And I asked him, well, did you text him? Did he text you back? I don't know if he texted him back right away, but there is a relationship here between these two titans of the auto industry, and there should be. This is probably good business for both companies.
It is. I want to see Ford succeed. And Tesla cannot do this transition by itself. It needs Ford. It needs GM. Tesla is accelerating the transition to sustainable energy, not providing all of it. Not only will the U.S. legacy auto manufacturers be putting the NACS on their vehicles using the Tesla supercharging network, in the not too distant future, they will also be licensing Tesla's FSD software. It won't just be adapters that they're going to need from Elon Musk. It'll be the FSD computer stack, guidance regarding the camera suite. Tesla will be assisting these companies in any way that they possibly can because they're not competitors. Well, at least not in the traditional sense of the word. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Well, it's kind of weird because Ford, GM, They're the enemy because they sell internal combustion engines, but they're also your friend because the companies will die if they don't transition to battery electric vehicles. And by proxy, autonomous vehicles. You're damn right. Jim Farley, Mary Barra, they're going to have nice working relationships with Elon Musk. If not, don't be surprised if somebody else is coming in to do their job.
It's a tough automobile market out there. Car prices have come down from 2021 highs, but other factors are giving consumers some pause. A new note from Bank of America points to the quote, all-in cost ownership, which includes elevated interest rates, insurance, and maintenance costs. But one big auto executive thinks EV ownership could actually save Americans money.
We think almost half of Americans would save money by buying an EV. Let's take the politics out of it. You know, we think for customers, they love the flexibility. They love not having to go to the gas station. They love having a full tank every morning. They like having a digitally enabled car that normally comes with an EV.
Check, 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 and check. There are some other reasons I'm a proud electric vehicle owner, but continue, Jim.
There's a lot of incredibly attractive consumer aspects of an EV. I think it started off as an expensive technology and one that was really dominated in the urban world where, you know, politics play out. And of course, with the charging infrastructure and building a whole new infrastructure outside of gas stations, it was bound to be, you know, politicized. But that's not what we're focused on as a company. We're focused on the customer. We're seeing customers who buy a Mach-E or a Lightning, they don't go back to an ICE vehicle.
Ding, 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 ding. Tell him what he's won, Johnny. Your mother right. If you've experienced an electric vehicle, the odds are you're not going back to that dirty, polluting internal combustion engine. The main issue that Jim Farley is going to have is whether or not those consumers buy another Ford, or are they going to go to the best vehicle on four wheels and cop a Tesla.
I mean, you just heard from the Ford CEO talking about some of the potential cost savings that buyers of EVs long-term could potentially bake into their financial planning. Where is that stacking up in terms of the prioritization and the purchase decision-making that we're seeing right now more broadly among consumers?
I quite agree with Jim Farley. I think he's spot on. I think, with EVs, it's a technology that doesn't need to be politicized. It's just a good, interesting technology. I think it works for a lot of people, and for some people it won't. Perhaps they need to stick with, gas vehicles or hybrids, plug-in hybrids. But I think Jim is taking a very practical approach to the market, and he's also trying to take a measured approach. He wants to educate consumers, saying, hey, maybe a home charger can work for you, and that will relieve range anxiety. A lot of times when you install a home charger, you could get some tax rebates or incentives from either your insurance company or your utility company, things like that. With gas prices, it seems like they're always in fluctuation, right? And insurance rates and all sorts of maintenance costs are going up because the average age of a vehicle is hit, I think, 12.6 years. Vehicles are older and older. With EVs, there's often fewer maintenance costs, fewer maintenance chores associated with the vehicle. So I think trying to present it as a practical option for a lot of people could really resonate with a lot of American drivers.
I'll testify. Happy EV owner since 2020. I had a Hyundai Sonata Hybrid previously. Loved that car, but it did serve its purpose. I then made a leap to an all-electric vehicle, and I don't intend to go back. I will buy the oldest Tesla on the planet, as long as it has Hardware 3 capability, before I even consider buying any other vehicle on the planet. In conclusion, for those of you that think EVs are just a fad, that they're not going to supplant the internal combustion engine, maybe it's going to be hybrids. You must be sucking the glass. 3 years from now, it's going to be painfully obvious that anybody making internal combustion engines, including hybrids, they're not going to have too much of a future. I fully expect the hybrid numbers to increase over the next couple of years. That is a bullish signal that people are migrating away from the internal combustion engine, transitioning to that of a pure battery electric vehicle. The buck won't stop at hybrid vehicles, no matter how fuel efficient they become, at its core, it will still have an archaic powertrain tied to it. Jim Farley knows this. I sure hope Mary Barra knows this. There will be some money to be made from hybrids, but it will not last. While battery electric vehicles will become more affordable for consumers, hybrids and internal combustion engines over time will become more expensive for consumers. If you've been contemplating on your first battery electric vehicle purchase, in theory, your options have been growing, but in reality, there is only one choice that you should truly make. Do yourself a favor and give Tesla a shot. That's all I got for you today. Be easy. Peace.